This is Trophy Gold, the Cross Stitch Part 3. Let's do a little bit of recap. So your characters are fully in this time loop reality at this point, having gone through probably like 5 or 6 of them at this point, maybe more. And every time it loops, certain things happen. Sometimes things get more dangerous. Like one time during the loop, there were these horrifying worm creatures. Most often, a new stranger appears in the town square, and there's quite a passel of them in the town square now at this point. You have figured out you have pretty well settled and figured out what is causing the loop. There's a ritual that's being performed by these group of not great witches who, and I say not great in the sense of like I don't think they're very good at what they're doing down in the subterranean portion of the temple ruins. They're performing a ritual there. It involves sacrificing a cow, and except last time it involves sacrificing Kiva, and yeah, so it causes this loop to happen. We don't really know what their motivations are yet, though. And we don't know if there's a way for you all to stop it other than to just like kill the witches or stop the ritual. That we haven't really quite sorted out yet. We also have this other sort of like thing going on with the cat and the black string and these various pieces of paper and clues you all have that seem to indicate some way of escaping or otherwise like just fixing what's going on here. You have not quite sorted that yet out either, but you have some really good clues. The biggest clue probably being how you all got here in the first place, right? Like the soldier creating this pattern, which you have a copy of, and using black string and burning it and doing the smoke. So there's a lot to be done there, and you're going to have some options as this proceeds with how you want to like kind of resolve this situation with Sonderfall. Yeah, that's basically the thrust of it at this point. There is still one part of the map you have not gone to, to relay the barn and the farmhouse. The farmhouse is in front, the barn's kind of towards the north and the back. And then, yeah, I think that's kind of the deal. So Kiva was part of the last loop's sacrifice, and that is going to have an effect on this loop, which I'm going to describe as soon as we start playing. I do, though, want to just check in with the characters and remind you all that you must meet your burdens in gold, or this is the last time we will see these characters. You either need cash money or you need treasure equal to your burdens in gold. So bear that in mind. Quite a few of you have conditions as well. And that might be problematic, especially as we get into this more like action-packed part of the series. And in terms of armor, you're actually in pretty good shape there. Everyone has at least one piece of armor available, and I think that's very good. Ruin is generally not too bad apart from Kiva, and so that is sort of where the characters stand. Do you all have any questions about anything before we begin? Okay, then. Let me grab my loop. The 3 of you who are still with us, step out of the smoke. And Sonderfall is very changed indeed. First of all, Kiva's not with you. But there are gold threads connecting everything in Sonderfall. There are gold threads tied around posts in front of the inn, connecting up to Tvillinghus, where the 2 weird twins are. There are threads that stretch across the town square like a cat's cradle or one of those like little kind of string puzzles. Just as you take steps on the road, you get tangled up in bits of gold thread. At this point, I think I would just like to ask you all, the 3 of you who are here presently, What do you do?
Are there still people in the square?
Yes, you can see that pretty well, except they are not in, well, I'll tell you the basics and then I'll give you a hunt roll. The basics are you do see them. It's a pretty big group of people, but the big difference is they're actually arrayed in a formation now. They're standing in a circle in the town square. You can have a hunt roll if you want to investigate closer. Just describe how you're doing so.
I think what Quinn will do is, I think without really still sort of caught up in this moment of Kiva isn't here and he was supposed to be here. I think she just like very quietly, almost in shock, walks forward and she is trying to see if Kiva or somebody who looks like Kiva is part of this circle and if that's what these people are.
If you walk directly up the road, Helger will wave.
Ignore.
You can ignore him.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a moment. What are you doing? We didn't. I gotta get your names. Sorry, I don't recall them. Basso and Valen.
I'm probably going over to check out the farmhouse and the barn.
And that's exactly what Valen's gonna do once he realizes that's the only, well, after the whole cow disappearance.
Yeah, in fact, you can even you can hear the cow in the barn. If you recall from last time, I explained to you that like whoever sacrifices the cow, they take it down a trapdoor in the barn, right? And you can hear it sort of lowing in the barn right now. But you can head towards the farm. That sounds good to me. Generally speaking, all three of you are heading towards the square. And so since Quinn asked the question, Quinn, you can take the hunt roll.
All right. I don't think that I have any skills that would help.
Okay, you can just roll one die.
Yeah.
That is a 3. You encounter something terrible. Well, I have the perfect thing. All three of you will notice the strangers are arrayed in a circle. They are looking up with their blank masks, staring up. They're very quiet. And they're looking at a tear in the sky that glows a hot pink glow. If you look at my background, there's a tear in the sky. It's not very wide yet, but it is pulsating with portent, we'll say. Quinn, what do you do?
I think that catches my attention, and without trying to disturb the circle or trying to stay unnoticed, I think that I do want to study the stair and maybe feel with my knowledge of, like other dimensions, other portals, demons, and all of that, if there's something else that I can glean from it.
Make a 2-die hunt roll. If you get a 4 or 5, I'll give you a lot of information. If you get a 6, I'll tell you exactly what's coming through.
I lose a token and I get a token.
No, the 1 doesn't count for anything on the roll. You get a token, but you encounter something terrible. Take your token. I will tell you that there is something coming through the tear. It's not here yet, but it may be here on the next loop. So just be aware of that. That's your terrible thing as well.
Oh, can I add a dark die and try again? Or because you already said, yeah,
hunt rolls are not a thing you can do.
Okay.
Let's cut over to Basso and Valen, since Quinn is preoccupied with tears in the sky. The farmhouse. Need to find it really quickly. It's a pretty simple farmhouse. You can see that there's a patch of sort of withered looking vegetables growing nearby. They look tough and bitter. The farmhouse is generally appears to be in disrepair. There is someone inside talking, a woman. You can hear her speaking, having a conversation like you would talk to a cat. Like the cat doesn't talk back, but you talk to the cat. And yeah, Bassa, what do you do?
I want to. You said it's in. Does it have any windows on the front of it that I can peer inside and see if
Sure. Yeah.
what's? Yeah.
Yeah, you can take a hunt roll.
I don't think I have anything. Oh, I'm at 1. Sorry. 5.
Take your token. You hear her talking. She says, "And how are you enjoying your afternoon today, my love?" "That's good. I'm very, very glad to hear it. You're looking well, very well. In fact, I would say you are positively radiant, my sweet. And you will notice now, as you look through the window, that she's talking to a skeleton sitting in a rocking chair. It's dressed up with a sort of spun cloth shirt and trousers, work trousers, and it's just sitting there in the chair, all desiccated, dried up skin on bone, little tufts of hair. She leans forward and kisses its bony cheek, and then goes to set the kettle on the fire. Valen, what are you doing right now?
Is this the farmhouse itself or the barn in the back?
This is the farmhouse. Yeah, this is right off
Okay.
the square. Yeah.
I think that he's still heading towards 9 on the map. So the back where the cow is.
Towards the barn. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good. You will hear the lowing of the cow as you approach. And there are a couple of sickly donkeys roaming around the front yard as well. A few bony chickens pecking at piles of hay and shit in hopes of finding something edible. There is a man in the barn with the cow. He's on his hands and knees. You can see the horns of one of those witch masks. He's facing away from you, but you can see the horns, in profile or in silhouette. And he's muttering to the cow, but you can't quite make out what he's saying unless you get closer. What do you do?
I want to. Yeah, I'll try to sneak up as close as I can get.
Make the hunt roll.
Deduction. I mean, I am trying to figure out kind of what this guy, what he's saying, what he wants to. I mean, I kind of have an idea about what he wants to do.
I will give it to you. Yeah, I'll give it to you.
5.
Take your token. He says, "I am, of course, very, very sorry, my love. This is simply how things have to be. The chickens and the donkeys are entirely inadequate, and the people of Sonderfall would be most distressed if we went straight to a child, though the magic would be much, much more powerful in this instance. So you, my bovine beauty, you are our middle ground. Healthy and hale enough, and possessed of a remarkable spirit, and yet not likely to cause too much of a stir when all is said and done. That's it.
It's so he's you said he's down on his hands and knees.
Yeah, he's like just like on his hands and knees, and the cow is sitting down as well, and they're just kind of the cow is just like not paying too much attention to him, and he's muttering to it.
Can I see like the trap door underneath, like straight up underneath the cow? Or
You can, yeah, and it's like the way it is. It's not the kind of trap door that like falls open. It's like
I feel like stairs, or
yeah, it's like stairs.
some,
Like it's like a ramp
like
that
ramp.
would lower down. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like people dressed like this left a bad taste in Valen's mouth after what he saw just a little bit ago. So, I mean, how about I want to get up as close as I can to him, and I want to stab him.
Okay. Let's cut over to beneath the ruins of the temple. Kiva, your eyes pop open. There is a woman, one of the witches, standing over you. You are in one of the sleeping pallets, perhaps hers, maybe one of the others. And she's looking at you. Well, as best you can tell with her eyes through the sort of skull mask. And she says, "Who are you? Are you a follower of the Seamstress?"
And I feel around, and do I have that mask on me that I found before, my 8th?
You do.
Yeah. And I say, as it happens.
How has the mask been changed? Indeed, how have you been changed by the events of the last loop?
Oh, I think like I think almost certainly there is, like, the mask was like kind of like I'm picturing it almost like like ceramic or alabaster or something, like pure white. It's now shot through with little golden threads, right? Kind of maybe not necessarily like as accents around particular features, but just kind of like almost like marbled in gold now. And how have I changed? I don't know. It's like I'm wondering if
It could be internal too.
yeah, so like I think I think that I now can feel like a pressure or a tension, like something is like kind of pulling at me. And I think like as the loop progresses and we get closer to actually jumping, it gets more and more like like a string being pulled tauter and tauter and tauter, right? And it's like, is it going to snap, or is it going to release and we do the loop? I think that's a kind of a like something internal that is just gonna tug at me now.
Yeah,
as long as we're here. Yeah,
I like it. I'm not going to make you do a risk roll because I think having the mask is sufficient to prove your bona fides here, or your presumed bona fides. She says, "Yes, good. I knew that her followers would soon enough answer the call. I believe we are going to be most successful. We will avoid the end of all things by reliving over and over again a single perfect month."
Yes, well, this is my first time experiencing the wonder of our ceremony. So please lead on.
Well, we are supposed to be joined by Argus with the sacrifice. I don't know where he is. He should be here by now. Indeed, Valen, I don't even need a roll. Describe how you dispatch Argus.
I think he really slowly creeps up. It's almost it's animal like. He's crawling on all fours until he can just really jump on this guy's back. Blade goes right between the shoulder blades in the back. And I think that's that.
Indeed. This disrupts the loop. If there's no sacrifice, it can't happen. Basso, you've observed this strange farm woman talking to her dead presumed husband. What are you doing?
She's focused on that whole situation, right?
I mean, she's inside the house, so I mean,
Yeah. I guess I'll try. I'm still looking for black string.
Right about now, you will just see the cat hopping up to its nest at the top of the tower.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'll try to sneak into this house and see if I can find any more information about maybe what's going on or how we could get out vis-a-vis the black string or just anything interesting.
There's a front door and a back door, or you can climb through a window, I suppose.
Front door.
It's locked.
Oh, sorry, I didn't catch that.
It's locked.
Oh, okay. Then I'll climb through a window.
You can climb through a window. Maybe there's like a back room where she's not at. And here we'll have two set goals revealed. The first is talk to Sten. Second is find the reality splitter. We'll come back to you. So Quinn, you are looking at this tear in the universe, looking at these strangers. You'll see the cat go by and hop up to the tower. You'll see Valen cross the square back towards the barn, or at least cross the yard behind the house towards the barn. What are you doing?
I think having at this point learned what I can from the tear, we had agreed before previous loops that we needed the threat that the cat has been bringing us. So I'm going to follow the cat and see where it's going to get more of that black thread that we need.
While following the cat, you cross paths with a boy who's about, 10 years old, coming from the house that's behind the shop. And he waves and steps around around a stranger and continues off in the direction of that little wooded area in the south. You'll see the cat hop up to its nest from the outside window of the tower that is attached to the town hall. What do you do?
The boy is headed to where we know Kiva was sacrificed, right?
No.
Is that what you mean with the?
No, the boy's headed to the part of the map that is labeled 7.
7. Okay. I think for now I'll just focus on the threat. So I think I'll I see the cat going up to the tower.
Then what?
Sorry, say again.
Then what? What do you do?
The problem was that we couldn't get to where the cat was, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could
Awesome.
climb the tower, I suppose, or
Yeah, I think what Quinn will do is I will cast door and walk through
walk
it,
into
hopefully,
it. Yeah. Okay, good. I like
up
that.
into the tower.
We'll do a risk roll for that in a bit. Kiva, the witch is getting impatient and she says, "We don't have a lot of time. Here, follow me." And she's leading you through this space down below, down a couple of corridors into the cave system that you recall. And she says, "How did you hear about the ritual? Did you commune with the seamstress herself? Did she tell you to come here?"
Something like that. Well, as you know, her pronouncements require interpretation. And so, given the vagaries of the messages that she conveys to us, I did my best to read her signs, and well, they led me here.
Splendid, splendid. Well, I don't know where Argus is. Let us go. This is all not quite going to plan. Let us
This
go.
is this
let us go
is
speak
most
to
alarming. What will happen if we can't find Argus?
Well, there are alternatives. Let's go speak to Sirma. Sirma is our sister, and she goes down one particular tunnel, and this is the way that you got here originally when you found the cabin in the woods. And she takes you up to that ladder, and she begins climbing, and she's calling up, "Sirma, Sirma, we're coming up. I found a new leal companion in the worship of the seamstress." And she pops open the trapdoor and climbs up. You see Sirma, another one of these witches. She's on her hands and knees, and she's just like staring out the threshold of the door of the cabin, just looking into space.
Is it possible to tell what building we emerged at here just from
It's 7
looking
on the
around
map.
context? It's 7 on the map. Okay.
Mhm. That little cabin.
Got it. Okay. I'm going to make a note. SIRMA, Sirma?
CIRMA.
Okay. And I just say, is there something wrong?
And Sirma, without looking at the two of you, holds her finger up to her mouth and goes,
Is there something wrong?
She points at a boy who is throwing rocks on the water. She says, "He will make a fine sacrifice for the ritual. Better than a cow, don't you think, sister?" And then she acknowledges you as well, Kiva.
And I just kind of bob my head up and down.
Sirma gets up and she says, "I shall snatch him." And she heads to grab the boy. What do you do?
You know what? I think I'm gonna let her go out of the cabin to go run and snatch the boy. And is that trap door still open?
It is.
Yeah, this is and like we're all down on. I think this is where I just shove the other one into the pit so that she hopefully falls and breaks her neck.
We'll do a risk roll there in a moment. So let's just set everybody in time and space. Valen has just murdered Argus, which is why there's no cow. Basso has just snuck into the farmhouse, and Quinn is about to door into where the cat's nest is. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and resolve all those things. Kiva, I actually don't need a roll to dispatch that one witch. You can individually, they're not much danger. You can push her down. She falls down and cracks her neck at the bottom of the ladder. Sirma might be a little more trouble, the one who's trying to grab the boy.
Yeah. Has she gotten hold of him yet?
No, she's kind of like, stalking.
Got it. Okay. So like give her a shove, make sure she's not moving, turn. And I see Sirma stalking towards her.
Mhm.
And I just walk out the door and I yell, "Hey, little boy, hey."
He will look up, then what?
And then I say, "That witch is gonna eat you. You better run."
And he does. Sirma turns on you.
And then I run. Like
indeed.
it's you better run. And then she turns to me and I'm like, "Yep, I'm out of here." Yeah,
Indeed.
I'm just book it. We're in
towards the square, I guess.
yeah, towards the square. Yes, yeah. I'm just hollering my friends' names: Valen, Basso, Quinn.
Well, Valen, you've murdered Argus a little bit ago. What are you doing now?
I was hoping to spend a token for some treasure,
You can do that.
searching him or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think let's take a look. Oh yeah. So underneath the hay, the farmers have stashed their rainy day fund. It is worth 1 gold in silver, or it's silver worth 1 gold.
So would I just track that under gold directly then?
Yeah, you put that directly on your little gold tracker.
Okay.
Quinn, let's do your ritual. Jim, what could go wrong here if Quinn's door ritual goes awry?
Instead of opening a door to the tower, like instead of she steps into the tower, all the rubble and junk in the tower comes through a door on top of her.
That's pretty good.
Like the door opens the wrong way and
It was
like
a
it.
push, not a pull.
Let's talk about your dice. Do you have a skill that would be useful here?
I feel like my demon skill, because that's sort of like where her power comes from, asking to open that door,
Oh, sure. I'll take
going,
that.
through
Yeah.
hell.
And I'll make the devil's bargain. The devil's bargain, if you accept it, is that the tear in the sky opens completely.
Yeah, let's mess it up. Let's do it. Let's do it.
It's your choice. You have 2 light dice and you have to do a dark dice. So go ahead and roll 2 light, 1 dark. And what'd you get?
5 light is the highest, and then the dark was a 3, which is equal to my ruin.
Yeah, well, that only matters if it's the highest die in the result anyway.
Okay.
Since it's not relevant. I will tell you what the complication is on the 5, and you can decide whether you want to add a dark die and try again. The complication is going to be that. Well, here's the complication. The complication is going to be you will notice the man come out of the house from behind the shop because you're higher up now, and he'll remove the ward from the door of the house. And indeed, Helgir will pivot to go towards that house once Helgir realizes that the ritual is not underway.
Mhm.
Presumably to grab the girl.
Mhm.
If you don't want to deal with all that, you can certainly add a dark die and roll all of them again.
I think a 5 is pretty good.
Okay.
I'll keep it.
Go ahead and describe the door ritual and what it looks like as you get up into the roost part of the tower.
I think for this one, we see her pull a thread from her mourning veil, and she kind of pulls that thread and just swirls it around, and it makes this perfect circle that she almost like very daintily pushes open into the wall and then just steps in. And I think we once again just see like that flash of bright red of the darkness for a second, wanting to go out, the swirls then just being sucked in as she steps in, and it closes again.
I like it. We'll talk about what you see in a moment. Basso, there are 2 set goals in the farmhouse. Talk to Sten and find something called the reality splitter. I will remind you all that you can pool tokens to automatically achieve set goals, or you can begin searching for the reality splitter or trying to talk to Sten or doing whatever. I mean, your character doesn't know about the reality splitter, but out of character, you can just start searching the house. But in any case, you're in kind of like a back bedroom. What do you do, Basso?
I'm going to see if I can sneak through the house and find anything that identifies who these people are.
Go ahead and make a hunt roll.
Can I have a second die for surprise?
Sure, yeah.
Because it would be a surprise if I was in the house. 6 life.
Nice. I think the most significant thing you'll see is that there's like 3 rooms on the ground floor. There's this sort of like back bedroom. There's the kind of like kitchen area where Sten and the woman are. And then there's like a living area, a 3rd room, right? That it's sort of hallway that connects them all. In that hallway, there is a pull down ladder that goes up into what is presumably some kind of attic. What do you do?
I'll pull it down and go into the attic.
Balin, you have your silver. Kiva, you're running across up to try to make it to the square, hollering everyone's name. Quinn, you are in the tower. There's not much to see. It's basically just like a bell tower without the bell. It's quite exposed to the elements. But it doesn't take much to find the cat's treasure. There is a little kind of a like basically like a loose stone with a gap in the masonry. And are you going to go dig around in that?
Yeah.
You'll find a great big bunch of black string that is inside that hole.
Can I also spend 1 hunt token to find something else?
Sure. I will tell you that as you're gathering up the string, the cat is there and gives you the most like exasperated, finally look, and then wanders off.
You're
And,
like, I know.
and leaves you to it. Although she probably runs over to the edge of the little kind of window area and is noticing the tear getting wider. But also, you'll have noticed the whole transaction of the man removing the ward from the house, Helgear cutting across the yard to the house. No one seems to be aware of the tear but you and the others, you and the other treasure hunters, and the strangers, of course. Valen, what are you doing right now?
I was gonna ask, is there a set goal at 9 at all, or is it just kind of a location?
There's no set goal at 9.
Okay. Well, after that, I think would I notice that this thing's starting to crackle and split
Yeah, you're
open even
seeing
more?
much
I
of the
assume
same
so.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, then I'm gonna like. You said the witches wear like these ornamental like masks.
They're like half
or
skull masks with horns. Yeah, kind of like,
Can I
stag
snag
skull.
the one from this guy?
Sure.
Cool. So I'll keep that, and then I'll kind of jaunter my way back towards the center to see what's up with this thing in the sky.
Indeed. Let's cut back over to Basso. No, actually, let me give Quinn their treasure. Quinn, give me a moment. I'm going to pull something from Trophy Loom because I don't think there's anything else in the tower in the module. Oh, interesting. There is a hand mirror of polished obsidian framed in ebony with a jagged knotwork pattern. It's worth 1 gold intrinsically, but it is also a magic item.
Ooh,
And
interesting.
therefore, if you keep it, it has implications for your burdens, but it is a magic item. So, okay. So now, Basso, you are going into the attic. You can totally do that. I don't think this farm woman is. She's probably either hard of hearing or she's just not like really super cognizant of what's going on in her own house. Kiva, as you are running into the square, Valen, as you are running into the square, Quinn, as you are running or looking into the square from up above, you see the tear is wide open. There is a titanic shroud-covered woman crawling out of the tear. She has a needle the length of a man in her right hand. Her face is covered with a heavy shroud. As she crawls through, she says, "Oh, you fools. One spends so much time keeping the fabric of reality sewn tight, intact, and you insist on pulling at the threads. You will no longer tear at my work." And that man who removed the ward, he only just now seems to notice what's going on in the square. And she hurls her needle like Scorpion, because it's attached to a thread. She hurls the needle and it pierces him and just sends him flying. And then she pulls the needle back like a crack of lightning. It's back in her hand. And she just starts killing everyone. She is slinging that needle. She's piercing twins in Tvillinghus. Helgear is running with a sacrifice, and neither of them make it. She pierces them both and pulls the needle back. This is a combat. She is an endurance 13. I'm dying to know how you're going to handle a 13. You can always try to perform a ritual to lower her endurance. That is one way. Or there might be other ways of lowering her endurance as well. Basso, you are only vaguely aware of this because you were in the attic of the farmhouse. What are you doing right now?
Probably as soon as I get upstairs, rummaging around.
Go ahead and make a hunt roll, a 1-die hunt roll for speed.
Can I spend a hunt token first?
You may.
Yeah, I'll spend a hunt token and do a 1-die just in case.
You will
6.
find a set of fortune tellers cards, each depicting one of the sisters in rare inks of vibrant hue. It is worth 1 gold. And then you can go ahead and make a single die hunt roll as well.
I got a 6 light.
Lucky you. Take your token. You find the reality splitter. Let me describe it to you. There's a chest. When you pop it open, inside you find an ornate axe, inscribed with runes and thrumming with dark energy. You can feel the power reverberating off this thing. What do you do?
Probably grab it and try to shove it in his bag.
You can certainly grab it. Then what do you do?
Is there anyone up here?
It's just you.
I guess once I grab it, I'll probably try to swing it if it seems like it's coming with energy.
You swing it and nothing happens.
Nothing.
Balin, Kiva, even Quinn from up in the tower, because she's quite big. You are engaged in combat with the Seamstress. She's an endurance 13. If one of you wants to try to reduce her endurance by doing a risk roll spell, you can do, or ritual, you can certainly do that. But otherwise, you're doing an endurance 13 on two 6-sided dice. Not easy. So what's everyone doing?
Would an bolt of arcane energy, does it count as a ranged weapon to try and lower the endurance? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so basically the way it's in this circumstance, what's going to happen is if you want to perform a risk roll before the fight to lower her endurance, you can do that as long as you're performing a ritual of some sort. And then we just describe how it weakens her so that you can actually fight her, because obviously she can't be defeated with 13 endurance.
No.
So whoever wants to take point on that can do that. Everyone else is rolling a weak point and going into combat. So
I'll try and lower it with a ritual.
what is the ritual that you're going to do?
I only have door, so I think what I will try to do is I am going to ask my beloved to pop up from hell and like in that door, like try to jank like her leg down or something that will impede her mobility, even though she still has the needle. Or oh no, wait, that's way cooler. I will door the needle when she like shoots it out. I will try to like at that moment bring it to another dimension.
Oh, I like that. That's good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I love it. Let's see how this goes. Billy, what could go wrong here?
I think that you could miss with the door and the needle would just go wherever she wants it to go. Her original idea when she threw it.
I'll make the offer. Well, let's do you. Well, you can have your first light die. I'll make the offer though, for the devil's bargain, which is your door ritual is shattered. She literally shatters the power of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, sucks for me, but it's really cool. So yeah, let's do it.
You've got 2 light dice and 1 dark die. The way this works is if you get a 4 or 5, it lowers her endurance by 1. If you get a 6, it lowers it by 2.
All right. Oh, no.
And you got 2 2s and a 1. And unfortunately,
Yes.
a dark die is high, which means you must stop. So I'm going to describe it. You cast your door to try to essentially catch her needle, and the needle flies and hits the door, and the needle immediately begins unraveling and piercing and weaving through the door, and you can feel her essentially tearing apart your magic. Whatever fabric or cloth, cosmic cloth, allowed you to access this power, she is unraveling it. And then she takes the needle in her hand and she proceeds apace. Valen and Kiva, I need weak points, please. Please tell me how you are vulnerable.
I mean, can I do a ritual too, or is it just the one?
You're up. Yeah,
There
Quinn
we
only
go.
got
Okay,
the chance
okay.
because she's
Got
kind
it.
of a little
Oh,
ways
because
away.
up in the tower. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Please roll a.
I mean, I'm vulnerable because I'm walking around wearing a mask that makes me look like one of the people responsible for having done this in the first place.
She's pissed at y'all. Yeah.
So rather than just kind of, I mean, she is kind of do like random kaiju style mayhem, but like once she sees me, she'll go, "Oh, you're one of the ones responsible for this," and actually focus, her ire on me.
Go ahead and roll weak.
All right, let's see what we got here. Rolls weak 5.
5. And Valen, how are you vulnerable?
I think, to put it simply, I'm one of the last people left to destroy in this town square, probably. Besides,
Indeed.
obviously, the robed figures.
You are up on you're on deck essentially. Go ahead and roll a weak point. 4. 5 and a 4. It's combat 2 to start. Kiva, you can roll. Looking for a 13, Kiva.
Fantastic.
An easy 13.
Let's see how we got. Let's see how we do. So it's 2 dice on this to start, or
Combat 2, yeah.
yeah. Woo!
2 ones. But neither of you got hit, so that's good. Kiva, begin the combat. What does it look like?
I mean, she is, she's and is it like, is she still kind of in that gap, or is she kind of like crawling
she's crawling out?
air,
Yeah, she's crawling
or
out onto the ground. Yeah,
onto the ground. Okay,
Mhm.
and so then I think that thread, she's just sort of slinging it around, and I mean, I imagine Valen and I just sort of dive out of the way as it comes at us, and I kind of take a desultory swing at, not even at her, but like at the thread trailing behind it. And it doesn't seem to have much of an effect. And, she's like, she is now kind of that, like, I feel like that too indicates, we're still kind of finding our footing and figuring out where she is. And now that she's kind of all the way out and on the ground, maybe we can reassess and figure out how to actually come at her.
Valen, give me a little bit of your fiction.
Yeah, I think Valen's still swinging wildly, or just trying to deflect the needle, even though he probably just saw that it would be futile to even attempt. So it really is diving, and then before you get even off your knees, you have to dive again. And you're just trying to get to the nearest solid piece of whatever the hell you can put in front of you.
Indeed. Basso, you are up in the attic of the farmhouse. There is a little window there. You will glimpse all of this going on down in the town square. What do you do?
I will probably throw that window open and climb out and jump, and then try to cast flow in order to use the water from the well in the center of town to disrupt the seamstress.
Oh, intriguing. I like that. Quinn, what are you doing right now?
I think as Quinn feels her magic being disrupted and that door shutting forever, there's just this heartbreaking scream in agony as she realizes that she has no more way to contact her love. And I think I will rush down and see if I can get that ward that didn't help that much, but maybe.
Oh, the ward. Well, that was the ward to keep the witches out of the house.
Oh, the witches, right?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have no more ritual to help in any other way, so I think I'll join combat.
Roll a weak point. Say how you're vulnerable.
Um, my weak point is 1, so good that I didn't do last round. And I think how I'm vulnerable is just that you see that this magic being taken from me has taken like such an enormous toll on me mentally that I'm just sort of like rushing forward, hands out, crackling with magic, just bull rushing this gigantic reality bending woman in just pure hatred and anger and not really thinking straight or trying to dodge or anything.
I love it. Let's do a combat round before Basso can get the ritual off. So Valen, go ahead and roll a combat. It'll be 4 now with the addition of a round and Quinn. The 5 is going to hit Kiva, but it's a 5, 3, 3, and a 2. That is 5 and 3 is not enough. So
Did my ruin reset back to base
your ruin
when I
reset
got
back to
there?
its,
We go.
to its
Okay, all right,
base
okay,
level. Yeah.
okay.
Do describe, Kiva, if you're getting hit, what it looks like, or just your combat here.
I'm getting hit. Yeah, for sure. And I think this is a thing where, like, if the needle just went through me, it would murder me. But this is like I managed to like put that that statue with the like half, with his face half removed, kind of. I just like get behind that, and a needle slams into it and smashes, and I get pelted with rubble. Maybe I get a like one of its hands kind of like across the face. I'm gonna have a black eye or something like that. But like that statue is just completely shattered, but I managed to not get impaled.
Nice. Valen, give us the next bit of your fiction. What's going on? How are you staying alive here?
Who are you addressing? Sorry.
Valen.
Oh. Man, I think that it really is just Valen trying to scramble. A lot of this session so far, he's kind of been down on the ground, and I think that's where he's going to stay. Is he's just scrambling as much as he can on his hands and knees to just get whatever he can. He's not running yet, but he is seriously considering it.
Quinn, you're joining the fight. Are you going to scramble down the tower, or what does this look like?
I have a terrible idea. There's like gold thread all over town, right? Can I like rip off the morning veil and just go like down like Mulan style with the
Sure.
like right
Yeah.
it down?
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Well, give us the next part of the combat then, or what you're doing in it.
I think actually having seen this gold thread, I will like try to snap some. And I think I'm trying to make it through the tear. Because obviously we cannot fight this woman. So I'm trying to make it to the tear and try to sew it back up is what Quinn's going to intend to do.
I love it. Basso, you're going to perform your ritual, which is, what is your ritual called?
Blow.
Blow. I love it. I'm going to tell you what's going to go wrong here if you fail. If you fail, the farmhouse and indeed you are going to she's going to drop you into another dimension. She's going to tear open reality underneath it and send you plummeting. Do you have a skill that is helpful here, or a piece of equipment? Defense, maybe?
Defense. I was thinking defense, I could use the axe as like the spell focus.
I like that as well. That's really good, actually. Go ahead and take 1 light die. And then I'm going to make the devil's bargain as well. No matter what, the combat shifts dimensions and continues in her notions closet.
Yes.
You have 2 light dice and a dark die. Go ahead and roll.
Three dark.
3 dark. You also fail. You begin doing the ritual, and She whips her head around, and you just see the shroud-covered face. And she reaches out her hand and just begins tearing the air. And that causes something to open up beneath the farmhouse, and you are plummeted along with the farmhouse down into this gap. We'll pick up with you later. Meanwhile,
Can I chuck the axe?
oh, I like that. That's pretty good. Chucking the axe out. I'll give you that. It's a good move. The axe comes flying out and lands in the square, and she visibly reacts to that. She recoils a little bit at the appearance of Reality Splitter. The next round of combat, this is probably why she does this, because of Reality Splitter. She raises up her hands, and the scene changes. The three of you find yourselves in basically this inky black void, crisscrossed all over with threads, but also there are needles and buttons and all kinds of other like things just sort of floating in the air, and she's at the heart of it. And the three of you are there. You're able to walk around still, but it feels like it looks like you're walking on nothing. But Reality Splitter is there. Is someone going to take up Reality Splitter?
Oh, heck yeah. I'll go grab that.
That reduces her endurance to 12. You are now on a combat 5. Kiva, you can roll it.
All right. Let's see what we got here.
Looking for boxcars.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not quite.
That is, however, 3 5s.
I will be using my armor here.
And a 4 on Valen, too. Kiva, give us the first part of the combat. What does it look like?
I mean, like that axe comes spinning in, she recoils from it. And I'm like, aha, I run up and I grab it, and I run towards her with it. Like I don't know anything about it. Like I can barely kind of get it over my shoulder like that. And I think she managed to just kind of like, she sweeps an arm and one of those big buttons swings in front of her, and I cleave that in half instead of, sinking the axe into her. One of the needles comes right at me, but I managed to twist. And it's a thing where like, it looks like it impales me, but I have that thick leather apron, like my beekeeping apron. And all it does is kind of like pierce through like the side of the apron. And for a second, I'm kind of caught on it. And then she pulls it back out, and the apron's just shredded, but I managed to avoid getting run through by it.
Valen, are you going to take the ruin increase, or are you going to block it?
I'm going to take the 1 ruin.
You do not. Your ruin does not go up. Instead, she sends enormous spools of thread at you. They wrap you up. They bind you. And you must give your weak point of 4 to either Kiva or Quinn.
Sorry, Quinn. I'll give it to you.
Quinn, your weak point is now 4 and 1. Quinn, please go ahead and roll a combat 6. We are looking for two antlers. So close.
So close.
A 6 and a 5. Oh, what sorrow. There's also 2 2s and a 4 as well, and a 1. I guess nobody has 2 on their weak point, but there is a 1 and a 4.
And a 4. So
yeah, so it's 2 hits on you, Quinn, unless you mark armor. So Quinn, keep the combat going. What does it look like?
I think we see Quinn is trying to get to Valen to free him up, and there's just like the arcane energy. This, you always thought that it was like extremely dark, but I think in this void, it's almost by contrast, like her powers are like almost a lightish gray, as if there's something so much darker here than even she thought was ever possible. And it just crackles and spins and just slithers out almost like a snake towards her, and the needle just is like going everywhere. We're having to dodge and roll in this darkness, this that just like keeps consuming us. And I think Quinn is just trying to get to Valen, and almost, I think in doing that, like I think her hands, like almost there. We have like that brief second of she's getting there, and then she just like her eyes go wild, and she just like gets snatched back as the needle goes in her. And I think as we see that, I will use my armor to soak that up. She grabs her chest and she starts pushing in. We see the needle like actually go through her heart, and she pushes in the heart necklace that she has, pushes it in the hole so that it's like partly still visible, and it starts like the aorta, like the veins start going into her body, and it starts beating again, a second heart.
I love it. That is a lot. It's intense. Kiva, you're getting hit unless you mark armor. What's happening here?
I'm getting hit. Yeah. I think
Describe
it sounds like there's kind of multiple needles moving around and stuff like this and everything.
There are
Yeah,
indeed,
this is
yeah.
this is just, kind of I managed to turn enough that one of them kind of takes me through the shoulder. But they're like nice and thin and fairly clean, so it kind of goes through and then it gets pulled back out of my shoulder. But there's a hole there it's gonna leave a mark. Yeah.
Quinn, are you going to free Valen? Since you had armor absorb the hit, I'll let you free Valen if you want.
Yes, I will try to free Valen.
You can give the 4 back to Valen.
I was
There
gonna
you
say,
go.
can I have my weak point back?
You can have your weak point back.
I don't want it. Have it back.
Let's take a quick moment to assess where the combat stands right now. And Daniel, thank you for being a good audience, since Basso is hurling through the void right now. Quinn, you are at a ruin 3. You're actually okay in terms of ruin, and you still have 1 piece of armor. Kiva, you are at a ruin 5, regrettably, and no armor. Basso, you are at a ruin 4 with 1 piece, or no, I'm sorry, Billy or Valen, you are at a ruin 3 with 1 piece of armor. So Quinn and Valen have a pretty good chance of surviving this. Kiva, this is going to be tough business.
I thought that what I
You
might
could run.
do, what I might do is drop out of the fight
Mhm.
and then send out a guiding thread to see if I could guide Basso to
I like it. It's very
through
good.
the dimensions to where we are.
If you give your weak point to another character, I will let you do that.
Who's better off?
Whoever has armor.
Yeah,
Think
I'll
we're
give it to
equal.
Quinn.
All right.
Quinn, you have
I
a
think
5
if
and a
I
1.
And
if I may, I will
and
also.
I'm just going to toss that axe in your direction. I think as I say Quinn, and and
I think we kind of
backpedal.
see her
Yeah.
like, because she's like a very frail woman, like a very frail person. She'll take it and then just immediately like tunk and just look at Valen like, I don't. What do you want me to do with this? And I think instead I will take out all the black thread that I have, and I'll just say, "Bring us home if you need to," and I'll toss it to Kiva.
Good. Valen, please roll a combat 7 now, I guess we're at. Let me take a look. What was the last one? Yeah, we're at a combat 7. Go ahead and roll it up. Looking for boxcars. Not enough. You do, however, have 3 5s, 2 4s. So
Glad I dropped out of that.
yeah. But remember, 1 armor erases all ruin or absorbs it all. So that's a good thing. Valen, keep up the fight. What's happening here?
I think that she is just things are bouncing around now. It's like invisible walls that buttons and stuff are bouncing off of, and everybody's just basically getting just bumped into by things, and they're falling through a floor that's not there, but they still stay on the same plane somehow, so everything's even, but you're still falling down like 5 feet at a time, and it's just utter chaos. You know, you don't have the sense of touch here, so you're walking on nothing. Your brain doesn't understand what's going on, and it's like you're free falling all the time, but you're not moving, but then you are moving, and you can't understand what's happening, whether you're upside down, right side up.
Are you taking the hit or are you marking armor? Valen, are you going to take the hit or are you going to mark armor?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
This is for Valen. Are you
Oh,
going
yes,
to you going to mark
I'm
armor or
marking
take
armor.
the hit?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll mark.
Great. Let's keep it going. Kiva, what's happening? Or Quinn, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think we see Quinn just trying to let's see, what I think we see Quinn trying to protect Kiva so that he can either, get the ritual going to get us home or find Basso again. And I think we, like see her, and I think we see her like pull out a thread and she's trying to do the door. And then the realization hits like, that doesn't work anymore. And she just just fully gets hid in that moment of terror, realizing that she's trying to do something that is no longer possible. And we just see her fly through this darkness and stay down for a moment. And then I think something like almost shiny, almost like a star in the night, starts to light up, and her bones like crack back into place, her broken body restoring itself as the Fey armor is just like literally pulling back together her broken body, and she gets yet another chance to do this.
Kiva, I'm not going to make you roll. Just describe how you rescue Basso and pull Basso into the notions room.
Sorry, you're kind of cutting out a little on the
I'm
first
cutting out. Okay.
couple of words. Yeah.
Let me, so just say, I'm not going to make you roll. Just describe how you rescue Basso and bring him into this world.
Yeah, sure. So I step back while Quinn and Valen are kind of doing their thing. Again, I kind of make that motion like I'm, kind of threading a needle, and I kind of send it out like this. But maybe here it's like immediately visible as a golden thread that just kind of like, sort of swirls out in and kind of like maybe hovers there for a moment before it just like, darts into like some spot that's slightly blacker than one of the others, and kind of reels back in, and there is, it sort of pulls Basso, just sort of pulls him through, kind of thread wrapped around his arm like this. It's kind of whoa, and he lands there with us. I think, just kind of yanked bodily from that fall.
I love it. Basso, please describe how you are vulnerable and roll a weak point.
Well, I'm surprised to be back here. And then weak. Of course, it's a 6.
Quinn, you have the axe. Go ahead and roll a combat 9.
Oh God. Well, here we go. Time to die for me. I have no more armor left.
Same here. So we'll be all right.
On a success, I die.
You can also give your weak point to Basso or Kiva and run.
Well,
No,
I think I'm out of the fight, right?
Oh, that's true.
Also,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, let's do it. Yep. Goodbye, y'all.
That is a 6 and a 5 are the high dice. There's a whole mess of 1s and a couple of 4s as well in there. Quinn, please narrate your end.
I think there's just this moment where all of us are, except for Kiva, out of the fight, but there's just this screech that the woman does. The needle is flying, just whooshing over all our heads. All of us are down. And I think Quinn just looks at her comrades, takes a breath, and just starts running and running up the needle, up she goes, heaves reality cleaver and brings it down. And she does bring it down, but the needle goes right through her. And this time there is nothing to save her. And the last thing she says as the axe is like embedded is just, I'll be home soon, my love. And then
Going to hell?
she
Is
is
that what you
gone.
mean?
Yep, pretty much.
That's awesome. You're killing it. I love it.
Balin, are you also finished?
I'm at 5. I went from 3 to 5. There's 2 4s there.
How is it going for you right now?
I think that it's a lot more of the same. You kind of see him. It's almost like the floor is going at like inclines, 45 degrees, 80 degrees. He's just sliding, falling. He's trying to get to her. His blade is pretty small. So he's basically trying to hack at her hands or arms whenever, like, while she runs up the thread, and the seamstress's arm comes down to brace herself, and he might try to like hit her hand or do something that makes him feel like he's, trying to help in some way. But I think that he drives his little sawtooth blade into her hand, and she just smacks him, and he hits against a wall that's like really close, so all that force is just boom right into the wall, and his armor just shatters off. There's nothing left. He's got basically just his undershirt on, and he doesn't even have his weapon anymore.
Basso, would you like to narrate your entrance into the fight?
Yeah, I think so. I think Basso was just like he was falling through the void, and he had probably already lost track of how long he'd been falling because they're through deprivation, and he's just being dragged through the void, and he then just lands in the middle of this chaos with all the dead witches everywhere, and looks up and sees the seamstress, and then just takes a needle through the shoulder.
Basso, it is a combat 10.
I can't hear you.
I wish I wasn't breaking up right now.
Same.
It's a combat 10. Maybe let me just try to rejoin the call. I might be able to just rejoin it. Give me like 1 second. I might have to end it though if I do that.
Better now.
Okay, well it's a combat 10, so roll a combat 10. The die roller is cruel AF today. Balin, please describe your end. Play to lose.
So I think he gets back up after splattering into the wall. He's basically got nothing left on him, and he runs back over to her hand because she's still pressed down. Maybe he kept her hand there for a quick second with his blade piercing into the floor through it. And right as he gets to her, he sticks his hand out to reach for his blade, and she pulls her hand up, and she envelops him in her hand, and she just squeezes and squeezes and squeezes until, there's nothing left. All you see is viscera drip out of the bottom of her hand, and he is a pile of goo.
Basso,
I Yeah, I think he runs forward and grabs the axe that was next to Quinn's body, and then wheels around and tries to swing it at her, and she just like meticulously undoes his armor, and so that his rusty chainmail falls to the ground.
Basso, I think you've probably got one last shot here.
Yeah.
It's a combat 11.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how it goes.
Easy.
Fuck's sake.
That's 4 11s that we rolled.
Oh, it is sad. Basso, you're taking another hit. What's your current ruin?
That gets me.
Please describe it. Kiva, are you going to try to take up the mantle and finish the job?
Is Basso like it's going to kill Basso dead? It is
Yep.
going to kill Basso dead. So do I get to do something while this combat round is going on first?
Yeah, I think so. If you want to. Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm going to crawl over to Quinn and I'm going to say, oh no, you don't get out of this that easily. And I take that jar of troll blood that she has and pour it over her pierced heart to lower her from 6 ruin to 5 and like slap her on the face a couple of times.
Did we add the extra die from when I joined the combat?
We did.
Okay.
Basso, please describe your end.
Yeah, I think he only has the one hand, and so he's just clumsily holding this axe with one hand and then propped up his left hand and then propped up with his right hand, and he's just not able to get any kind of momentum behind it. And she just stabs him through the heart, and he like falls to his knees and then collapses on the ground as the axe skids across the ground.
Quinn, you are back in the game with 1 ruin available.
I point a finger in her face and I say, swear to me that when you get back, you will kill that king slowly and painfully, and then grab up the axe and I run at her.
This is a combat 12.
I'm out. Quinn's not doing this.
You're giving it all to Kiva.
Yes, sorry, Kiva, but no.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that
I
was
think
my whole intent here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we see Quinn like waking up, and as Kiva is running, she just says, "But I was finally home with him." And I think we just
you
see her
can
like
suffer
clutch
like the
that
rest
heart.
of us. And this is combat 23, right? Is that
12.
Don't worry,
1,
you'd
2,
still roll an
3,
11.
4, 5, 6, 8, 9,
on
10,
23,
11,
so.
12. No, so in our series of 11s, I got a 10 there, but no 5s. Oh my God.
But you have all the other you have a 4 though, because you have to take Quinn's weak point.
Oh, I have to take Quinn's
She
weak
had a
point.
1.
So
Oh, you had a 1. You had a 1, yeah. So that's what
she had a
gets
1.
you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's what gets me. Yeah, that's right. I forgot I had to take the other one. But wasn't she out of the fight though, technically? Does her weak point still stay?
Oh,
even
that's
though she was
true.
knocked out of the fight?
Oh, that is true. She never rejoined. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm
no
sorry.
5s?
I just think it's awesome that on
No, it's
12
great.
dice
No.
I did not roll my.
Let him
weak
roll
point.
again.
You get one more go. You have combat 13, Kiva.
It's completely bananas. And I think this is just the thing where like, and she does one of those, why are you still being so insolent? And she does the like, this time for real, and like all the needles are in the air and all this kind of stuff and everything, and her hands are swirling and stuff. And so let's see. This is bananas. I'm just going to type it. combat 13. Got her.
Got her. After all that.
But it's going to kill me. But I'll tell you exactly how this works, which is I'm running at her with the axe, and like the needles are all coming towards me, and I just stop and I grit my teeth and I hold the axe as hard as I can, and I pull back, and like 3 or 4 needles get me through the middle and pull me right towards her. And as they do, I'm just swinging. And as she hauls me in, that's when the axe right through the middle of her face, because she's pulling me into her. I use the momentum of that to, give my swing enough force to cleave her in twain.
Quinn, you inhale smoke into your nostrils and into your lungs. You find yourself on the road to Sonderfall. Helgir is at the inn. He waves. We'll take a 5-minute break. Everyone think of your character's epilogue, even if they're dead. And that'll we won't do Hearthfire. We'll just wrap up with that. So we'll come back in 5. Epilogues. It's assumed that if you wish, Quinn, you can perform the black string ritual, which will return you back to
Can I,
Yeah.
before I do that, I still have 1 hunt open. Can we say that I would have made that a gold? Because then
You
I
can
will
spend
meet
it,
my
yeah.
burdens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Please just whoever wants to epilogue first. And if you're not alive, just describe how your absence is felt in the world, I guess.
Oh, I'll start. And it's there is we see the well-appointed office of a collection agent of the Southern Pass Company, and the very same guard that performed the ritual to send us out there. Walks up with a little scroll with the king's seal on it and just tosses it on their desk. And they the Southern Pass Company, this like weaselly little Southern Pass dude narrows his eyes and cracks the seal, and he reads it. He says, "What is the meaning of this?" And that sergeant that was with us says, "Well, he performed a duty for the king, so all of his debts are waived. So if there's nothing else," and she just turns on her heel and walks out. And the Southern Pass guy bam, 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 kind of smashes it against his desk in fury.
I think there's 2 guards standing on the docks of the king's shipyard, and one of them turns to the other and is like, "You remember that guy that tried to steal a boat a couple weeks ago? Wonder whatever happened to him."
Yeah, I think there's this narrow, bustling city. There's a tracking shot, this really well-dressed justiciar, and the camera's kind of following him over his shoulder, and he meets with a couple people, or things are exchanged discreetly, and then eventually stops at a corner, and the camera kind of pulls in over his shoulder when he unfurls his scroll, and you just see the big sigh, and he scratches out Valen's name. And then next to there's just a whole list of names with money or amounts written next to him, and he just scratches out Valen.
We see Quinn in a room in front of a mirror. Her hand is touching the mirror so that it looks like she's holding her own hand. And she's just, it looks like she has been crying or is about to cry. And she just says, I know it's gone, my love, but you can still reach me. I know I have not brought you what you want, but as always, you may take what you truly desire. Please just talk to me. And the mirror lights up and she gasps as if air is pulled from her lungs. And we see this little crackle of energy, like a piece of her very soul is taken and sucked into the mirror. And her expression gets like more gaunt, more pale, more ghost-like. And there's a voice that says, I am here, darling. You have called me for a favor yet again. And she says, I will bring you what you want, but you must bring them back. All of them who sacrificed themselves for your love. Do this for me, for your future queen. And then the room lights up, first in fire, and then it snuffs out into absolute darkness. And that's the last we see.
That is the cross stitch. Let's go ahead and do stars and wishes for today, but also the whole series. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
For me, stars for Kiva for just being so determined to keep everybody alive. And then winning that combat, just absolute movie perfection, just the absolute greatest. I did not expect Kiva to give the troll blood to Quinn. Just absolutely took me out. I was like, what? I'm back. That's amazing. And then Quinn just immediately being like, no, I'm just gonna mouse out. I thought that was like a great moment of sort of the two types of people in this game. I think the two types of heroes, hunters, I should say, not really heroes, which was just amazing. Billy for Valen, I just loved the description of how he died. That was so gross. That was just so amazing. I really, really loved it. And I also, that line of Valen has spent most of this this adventure on the ground, and that's just where he's gonna stay. Just absolutely gold. I really love that. For Basso, chucking the weapon, really smart move. That was so great. And then also, I think it just said so much about Basso, like being thrown in this situation, and then you just immediately like picking up and being able to like get in that fight and make it really cool. I thought that was really, really well done. For Jason, thank you for baiting me into that devil's bargain because I was like, I know this is terrible, but I want it. Which I think is just a great skill. Just it's so fun when a GM like gives you the red button and you get to push it. It's very fun. Also, just a very, I think you did so well, like bringing the atmosphere, just like instantly being like, hey, this is a big deal. This is kind of terrible. And I think it's just really shifted from being a little like more lighthearted and, oh, we have time and there's loops and whatever. And then go like, oh no. That was really, really fun. Just in general, I thought this incursion was really, it was very different from what I've played before, but in like a very good and fun way where, you know, like the loop was a great element and then having it this very confined setting, but still having like so much to do in it and the mystery just slowly unfurling and then the climax of I kind of knew something like that could happen with the tear, and I was like, okay, I guess it's here. Absolutely fun. And I guess my only wish is that I get to play with any of the people here again because it's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, stars to Kiva. Everything that everybody did in that fight was just so cinematic, and the 12 at the end is you couldn't probably write it much better than that in a a horror game like that. Bazo, I could just see it in my head, the throwing the axe, and then you get like the quick zoom on the axe as it crashes, blade first right into the ground. That was perfect. And of course the kill shot that Kiva did once again. We were talking about in the chat here, you can't see on YouTube, but we were talking about how it felt like a video game boss fight, and that's exactly what I envisioned in my head. And Jazzy with Quinn, just over and over again, you just knocked it out of the park with everything you were describing. Just coming up with something I hope I can learn to do, but I usually GM, so I just kind of tell everybody else to do stuff like that. So when you do that, it's just off the top of your head. It's so amazing to listen to. And Jason, because this was very trophy, but still very Morkborg. And I was I'm a big fan of like the doom metal aesthetic whole idea. So it was such a great time. And yeah, my wish is the same. I just hope to be able to play again with any of you guys.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Hopefully you can hear me okay. I hope I'm not breaking up too much, but the recording will have it, so you can go watch it later if you really want to hear my unbroken thoughts. This session was so fun. The whole series was very, very fun, but this session was like A+. There was this build up all 3 weeks, and I felt like the payoff was exceptional. A star for the trophy gold combat system. This was a wildly entertaining combat. It was epic in scale. It's the kind of thing that, like, I think that whenever you're playing a fantasy role-playing game, you imagine combat is like, but it never is because you're just rolling a million dice. But this was rolling a million dice in a better way. It was so cinematic, it was so alive, it was so heart pumping. I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Every time we went to the combat roll, I was like on the edge of my seat. So just really, really terrific. Everyone's descriptions in the combat were amazing. Jazzy, you're like bringing that emotional element with Quinn was really, really good. Jim, I really love how you kind of like you were playing the system the most of everyone, and I really appreciated that because that's what the game wants you to do. I've spent most of the session on the ground, so I'm just going to stay there. That was like an A+ line in the game, Billy. And I think my biggest star goes to Basso for throwing the axe out of the void, because you couldn't have beat her otherwise. You literally could not have beat her. She would have just killed you. And so that moment was really like just a gold star moment. So but overall really, really fun. A great adventure. Star to Ben Mansky, who wrote this particular scenario. It's really, really good. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely different in feel. Like, it's obviously much more Morkborg in feel than Trophy, but I think Trophy Gold handled it perfectly fine. And yeah, it was a very interesting GM challenge. It was probably I am so rarely challenged as a GM, and this was one of those times when I really was. The time loops are once I got my head wrapped around it, it was fine, but it definitely took a minute. So I'm happy that it all turned out.
Star for Quinn. I just want to see more of Quinn, and just getting more and more frail every time. Just such a great character. Kiva as well. I mean, I loved Kiva in like the first 2 sessions, and then just the the finishing it all off on just like such a high note was, I mean, low note but high note, was just perfect. Really just leading into the trophy, kind of get to the point where it's over and play to lose, give them a fantastic end moment. Just to echo everyone else, that one line for Valen, or talking about Valen, was just perfect. And then Jason, the running this, I really enjoyed it. I felt just kind of on the edge of my seat. I'm still just kind of a little bit of an adrenaline surge from the from rolling that combat dice over and over and over again.
Star to the die roller. Which
yeah.
was, the die roller was like the die roller was really feeling itself today. It was having a moment.
It's just really fun. I just want to play more trophy in general. Finally the payoff of the module was really good. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts on it in the Fear of a Black Dragon episode.
Oh yeah, this was so much fun. Start with Star Jason. Perfect solution to Kiva having gotten kind of like every now and then there'll be one of those unexpected, oh crap, I just rolled a 6 on my, on a fairly routine thing that bumped my ruin to the point where I'm gone. But like I feel like we came up with a solution that worked perfectly for that like made sense in the context of the module, which was the important thing. So kudos to you for that, and thank you for for letting me just jump right back in. It made a lot of sense. One of the things, so a start for the adventure, the actual module. One of the things that I find fascinating is we didn't realize until like halfway through the session today how precarious that loop was. That like they really, no kidding, needed to work every single time to make sure that it happened. And it was supposed to be a month, but it was only a day. And it was, that it was like no kind of sure thing. And if everything didn't go exactly right, if you say just interjected a few interlopers into it, like the whole thing unravels, if you will, and comes apart. And that was really cool to realize in retrospect. Because at the beginning, it feels mysterious and like we have no insight into what's going on. And it's this powerful thing beyond our ken. But then as soon as we realize what's going on, it's like, oh, no, all we need to do is keep them from getting the cow or snatching a couple of kids. And we can just bust this whole thing wide open. And figuring that out in retrospect was super cool and kind of, just good adventure design as far as I'm concerned. Everybody, you guys were fantastic to play with. Thank you so much. Everybody leaned right into, their kind of epic death moment, which is very cool. Nobody was like breaking things because they got whatever that roll that got the 3, got them the 3 ruin at the end and stuff like that. But it was a ton of fun. Quinn suggested Jazzy in chat said, don't forget I've got troll blood. And I was like, oh, she does, doesn't she? Oh, okay. All right. I know how I'm going to do this. And that was it. So thank you for pointing that out, because we don't necessarily pay attention to what's on each other's sheets. And that was a key to kind of one of the more certainly, kind of fun things that I got to do. And I loved everybody's epilogues. And in particular, Basil's like, hey, whatever happened to that guy? I don't know. Like that's such a trophy epilogue. Yeah, that was great. But absolutely would love to play with any of you again, and et cetera, all that kind of stuff. So this is really fantastic. My wish is to play enough trophy that I get to do Hearthfire in a serious way at some point. Because kind of all my playthroughs of Gold, Jason, have been with you, and so it's like we go 4 sessions, we maybe get one Hearthfire thing in, but I never get it to to where it's really cooking. So that's my big wish as far as
that's what's fun about doing the Scoundrels Quarter right now, because it's like a proper campaign, like it's we're with all the connecting tissue, which is really fun. Okay, that was really great. Is there anything else before we go?
I have one last thing. Jim, I thought it was really cool that the moment that took out the Seamstress, you repeated the thing that Quinn tried. Because she did the exact same thing, like going up, trying to cleave, getting hit by the needle. And then Kiva did it again, but it worked. And given also the fact that like Kiva brought Quinn back, I just thought that was really cool to kind of echo that once again, and then it actually working. I thought that was just that is like such a movie moment as well, right? To like try the thing again, but this time with more determination, and then it actually works. That was really great.
Fabulous. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to wave goodbye to anybody who's watching the video.